You are listening to Peak One Sports.
Welcome and thank you for listening to this episode of the Sports Page on the Peak One Sports Network. I'm your host, Ashton Nix, and as you can see, I am flying solo today. Chris is out. Landon isn't producing this episode. No interviews today. It's just going to be me and you guys and a bunch of sports talk. Thank you again for being supporters of this network, of this show. Our YouTube numbers are growing. Our podcast numbers are growing. Just keep it up. Y'all are doing a great job. We have giveaways coming up. A lot of stuff. Live sports coming up. My gosh, we have Texas high school football coming up here in just a few weeks. The guys over in at the Bungalow Sports Show are killing it. Their ratings are up. They have the all new Bungalow. What is it called? I know it's not Fight Night. The Bungalow Fight Show, I believe. I don't know. I didn't plan on. I don't have it right in front of me. I apologize to those guys. The Bungalow Fight Show, not Fight Night anymore. And I know they have an interview coming up with one of the fighters we're sponsoring. So be sure to stay tuned. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Comment and hit the notification button so you know when all these great episodes are dropping. Almost every day. We almost have new episodes of different shows dropping every day. And like I mentioned earlier with the podcast, listen to all of your favorite Peak One sports shows, however you listen to podcasts. Before we jump into it, let's go ahead and give a shout out to Betalytics, our sponsor. The Betalytics dashboards allow you to quickly identify top graded best bets and hottest trends. Use promo code PEAK1. You can see it down there just so you don't get it wrong. PEAK1 is the promo code. You get 25% off when you sign up today. Don't bet with your gut. Bet smarter. Go to betalytics.com today. Really what we're going to talk about, we're all over the place today. I didn't want to get too in depth in certain topics without Chris being here or anyone, to really bounce all great conversation off of. So we're going to talk some baseball. I mean, being a DFW based show, we got to talk about the Texas Rangers right now. They are 8-0 since the trade deadline. Only undefeated team in Major League Baseball since the trade deadline. I'm really turning it around. I know I've been doing good all year, but then they hit those lulls where they're losing 2 or 3 straight series. I believe they had 3 straight losses before they went on this 8-game winning streak. Pretty much been on top of the AL West all season since, I want to say late April, early May. Got down to about, I think the Astros were behind them half a game after they had the series where the Astros took 2 of 3. But right now they have a 3-game lead on the Astros. Despite getting an 8-game winning streak, the Astros are still winning. So they have separated a little bit, but the Astros are right on their tails. And they're just a game and a half back of Baltimore for the best record in the AL. And we'll get to Baltimore here in a second. A lot of stuff happening there. Max Scherzer being the big name the Rangers got. Not quite at the trade deadline, but here the last couple of weeks. They got Chapman last month, and then Scherzer just a couple of weeks ago, and he's been dominant. I know he had a rocky start, ended up settling down and getting the win in his first start, but in 2 appearances, he's had 2 starts for the Rangers. He's had 15 strikeouts and a 2.77 ERA. And it sounds really dominant, but it's a small sample size. But he is just the second Rangers pitcher to do that, to reach that feat, the 15 strikeouts and a sub-3 ERA in the first 2 appearances since Nolan Ryan did it in 1989. So that's, really good company to keep. Scherzer's, obviously a future Hall of Famer. Kind of taking the same path as Nolan Ryan did. Maybe he'll have some success here late in his career with Texas. as Scherzer's joining a Texas team a lot closer to competing for a championship than Nolan Ryan had. But yeah, we'll see. It's never a bad thing when you are tied to Nolan Ryan, I guess, unless your name is Jesse Ventura. You see back there, Nolan Ryan beating the crap out of Jesse Ventura. I had to do that. Sorry. But yeah, we were talking about getting to the Orioles, Baltimore Orioles. A little late on this because this is a weekly podcast, so there's already been some good things happening out of this. But Baltimore Orioles broadcaster Kevin Brown, I'm sure everyone's kind of heard a little bit about that situation. He was suspended indefinitely for, I suppose, some comments that were made. But he's going to return to the booth this Friday for the Orioles. Now, he was suspended after, again, not a whole lot of information coming out other than this pregame statistics he was giving. And we'll listen to the clip here in a second. It was talking about the Orioles playing, the Orioles are playing in Tampa against the Rays, and he was basically just talking about the recent history, the recent records that the Orioles have had playing the Rays at Tropicana Field. You can hear this clip.
Brandon and I just felt like this has been maybe the toughest ballpark to play in, but the Orioles have a chance to do something special today. They've already clinched at least a split in the series, winning 2 of the first 3, and they could pick up a series win behind Tyler Wells today. It's been a minute. The Orioles split a 2-gamer with the Rays in June. They had lost their last 15 series here at Tropicana Field. You have to go back to when our now colleague Brad Brock picked up the win in the series finale June 25th, 2017, the last time the Orioles won a series here at St. Pete. Already got 3-2 at the Trop this year after winning 3 of 18 the previous 3 years combined. It is a stark difference, man. It is not a bad Rays team. It's not like all of a sudden the Rays became slouches in the American League East. They've led this division every day but now 2, and the Orioles once again are back alone in first place.
Yeah. So in that clip, he does nothing but talk facts. I mean, we know in today's world, especially when you're being recorded and you're in the light like that, it doesn't, you could be telling, pure truth and you can get in trouble for some things. But my opinion, and this is the opinion of a lot of people. In fact, I haven't found one person outside probably the Orioles ownership group that had any issue with this. I mean, he said nothing offensive. Again, it wasn't easy to hear if you're an Orioles fan, I guess. I mean, I've been a broadcaster for a high school football team, my alma mater, that they weren't a good team and had a history of not being a good team. And I had to come up with storylines, and I mentioned that, losing streaks. While I was a broadcaster going through, I think it was up to 14 games in a row in the 2.5 years that I called those games. I've done minor league soccer teams with a brand new soccer team that wasn't very good. You talk about that stuff, and he wasn't bashing the Orioles at all. When I heard this, and I kind of thought it was a joke that they were like talking about suspending him. Like, no, he was suspended for this comment. This is his, technically not a monologue. He was talking to with his other colleague, but what you do in the pregame. Baseball is one of those sports where I know they've implemented some stuff to make the game go by faster, but there is a lot of dead time where you're just saying pitch outside, ball 2, whatever. It's not like football where you're talking for 30 seconds and then you got to say something for a few more seconds till the next play. Baseball, you have a lot of time to fill, especially pregame. And that's all baseball is statistics, analytics. That's what you talk about. He was talking about their 3 the last 18 or 3-18. That's something you want to talk about, especially when your team is doing good now. They are right now in first place at the time of recording this podcast, above the Rays. And when you haven't had success, that's what you want to talk about. You want to talk about, hey, we're finally having success. And the reason, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. The reason they're so good is because they've been so bad. And that's how sports works for the most part. When you're a smaller market team and you don't have all the riches in the world where you're just going to throw money at your team, you have slumps. You build through the draft because you have such great draft picks. Baltimore's done a great job of developing it, not only picking the correct players, but developing that talent, because for so many years they've been historically bad. And I just mentioned, I'm a Texas Rangers fan. I know about being historically bad. It's okay. And now we're on the uptick because we've been bad. We had good picks, able to develop a little bit, and then we're in a position to go out and spend money, and then go out and where you have good prospects because you've been bad, you've had a decent farm system, you can trade for better players like Matt Scherzer and Aroldis Chapman. That's how it works. Now, there was some story, I don't think it's picked up much traction, that the reason he was suspended is there was a graphic that was put up that they're trying to be creative with the wordplay and call it a tropical depression. Again, total BS to me. Okay, first of all, what does he have to do with that graphic? There's a graphics department. It's a professional freaking baseball team. The play-by-play announcer's not coming up with that. Second of all, tropical depression, is that supposed to be offensive? We have a hockey team called the Carolina Hurricanes. Again, it's a BS story. Probably I don't even know if the Orioles PR department put this out to talk about it, but we all know Orioles ownerships have had problems with mentioning the past series, past players that have to do with the last decade, because honestly, they've been so bad. And like I said, I'm not the only one who thinks that at all. Even Baltimore Orioles fans, it's hard to hear. I'm going to play this clip. It's them chanting "Free Kevin Brown."
Made it look easy. Good athletes can do that, Diego.
Yeah. I think that's one of the best defensive plays in the game of baseball.
And of course, the announcers don't acknowledge it. If they've even noticed it, I'm not going to put that on them. They're focusing on the game. And if they did hear it and know what was going on, I wouldn't acknowledge it either, because they're in that exact same position. And, I understand. But when you have the fans of your team chanting support for your play-by-play commentator, something's gone wrong. As much as I would like to think that, we here at Peak One, we're about to start calling Texas high school football for a couple of different schools in a school district. I hope there's not controversy where the fans of those schools have to show support for the people we have calling those games. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. I'm not going to go off on it because apparently the situation has been figured out and he's going to return Friday. And I'm sure we've all heard, beat the horse dead. I completely screwed up that analogy, but you understand. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. It's not a big political debate. Nobody thinks. I've asked a few people. I've talked to them. I was like, hey, am I missing something here? And no, it's because I was prepared, doing my show prep the last few days, I was prepared to talk about how ridiculous this was. And then they come out and say that he'll return Friday or whatever. Great. At least he's not losing his job. And I don't think it would completely screw up his career or anything. He's obviously a young guy, but I think people would understand this. And I don't know why Baltimore reneged on this and say he's coming back. If people thought, hey, this is just, if there was a bunch of backfiring, an outcry, and they brought him back, maybe those fans chanting had something to do with it. I don't know, but at least it's not this huge travesty that he loses his job over it. I don't know though, going back, how he feels about that. Obviously now he has a name. He's made a name for himself. I've never listened to him that I know of any Baltimore Orioles broadcasts. from what I heard, sounds like he's pretty good at it. But now that he's made a name for himself, maybe he can go out and, stick it to the Orioles next time. Take a break for a second and acknowledge another one of our sponsors. Fantasy Football Commissioners, this one's for you. Don't let owners screw you out of league payments. Trust me, I know how it is. I've been the commissioner of a lot of leagues. Lots of times when I want to get a work league going, I end up being the commissioner. More specifically, we had a dude, get this, everybody agreed. It was like a $50 buy-in, nothing crazy. It was the first year of this league, had about 10 people in it. And he keeps saying, yeah, I'll get you. I mean, he works with us, so I'm thinking, okay, he's not going anywhere. So about 3 weeks in, he's the only one that hasn't paid. I'm like, come on, dude, pay me. And then he decides, because his team, well, he didn't say this, but his team starts out 0-3, and you can pretty much guess it from here. He says, you know what, I just don't have the money. I can't cover it. After we've already all agreed to this, we've let him in the league. He's drafted, everything. And we're like, okay, you can still play because you have a team. We have to. Just don't do any trades or anything. And, he thought that was complete BS. He had the audacity to say, no, he wants to trade. And we ended up saying, screw it, return the money. And then we'll just throw money in it for the teams that make the playoffs. Guys, don't let that happen to you. League Swipe makes your life easier by streamlining league dues collections, and payouts. And trust me, guys, I've checked this out. They have a nag feature where you don't have to mess around with it. Your friends, family, or coworker. You don't have to mess around with it. You don't have to nag them. They have a feature called the nag feature that will tell them, hey, your league dues, they're due. You owe money. Whether you pay it all up front, you pay it bi-weekly. If you have payouts at the end of the year, payouts during the year, however you have your league set up, it takes care of all of that for you. All you have to worry about is fantasy football. I know being a commissioner, there's a lot more that goes into it. During the season, all you should have to worry about is your team and winning that league. Go ahead and try it now. Go to leagueswipe.com. Follow them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at leagueswipe. More news going on. Fox Sports realm, the show Undisputed. Skip Bayless over there by himself now. Shannon Sharp is out. Looks like they found a replacement for him. Richard Sherman is joining Skip Bayless on Undisputed. Sherman usually is, especially in his playing days, was really unfiltered and kind of in your face with interviews. I know not that he was unknown, but he really became one of those in your face, had one of those in your face reputations after, he knocked down the pass to Michael Crabtree. And then Aaron Andrews tried to interview him and he went off, and there for a couple of years during interviews and everything, he was the guy that, like, if he's on your team, you like him. If he's not, you don't type attitude. But yeah, the last few years as an analyst, he seemed more well-spoken, analytical, a lot of great opinions, and he's kind of come back from that a little bit. Not so much that it was fake or an act, but I think he realized, okay, I can't be like this if I want to move into an analyst standpoint. Although now that he's with Skip Bayless, he can do whatever character he wants now, that it doesn't have to be real on that show. But yeah, Richard Sherman joining Skip Bayless. Is that, I know all y'all are watching Peak One for your sports stuff, but yeah, sometimes you watch other ESPN, Fox Sports. I like to think we have better opinions than Undisputed. Sometimes, it's as Cole likes to call it, fake Skip Bayless. He talks about how he's paid for his opinion, just say the most random things. Sometimes he thinks Dak Prescott's the best quarterback in the league. Sometimes he thinks he's the worst. I know a lot of people like that, but they're not getting paid $20 million to be on a show. You listen to Peak One for, our expert opinion But it's real. We're not screwing around with you, giving you BS comments or sports opinions. We're giving you all of this is real. But whether you watch Undisputed or not, tell us who you think Richard Sherman's. I personally think he's going to be better than Shannon Sharp. But until he gets on there and talks, I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be more of Richard Sherman from his playing days in Seattle or more of his analyst standpoints. I don't know. Other news, ESPN Sports confirms they're still on track for a summer 2024 release of their college football video game, despite recent lawsuits. See, I thought when they went with the NIL deals that this would bring the game back, but I didn't think I figured it'd be pretty much dealt with. But now there are more lawsuits. NIL stuff it really complicates it. And I don't know. I know they're going to have to pay a lot of money to some players. You can go watch the Sports Biz. After you're done watching the Sports Page, go find the Sports Biz episode with Tony. He talks about this and how much each player is going to make if they want their name, image, and likeness in the game. But on the standpoint of, I love that game. I love creating players, or just doing a dynasty and taking that player and putting him in Madden every year. And I haven't been able to do that in nearly 10 years. I just want this game back. I don't care what you have to do. I was dumb. Either way, I don't know if they plan on releasing it this year. I know they said they wanted college football 2024, thinking, hey, it would be released this year, 2023. If you play sports video games, Madden 24 is about to come out, even though we're in 2023. So I would think NCAA 24, which I don't even think it's going to be called NCAA. It's just going to be college football, I believe. But they said it was going to be called 2024, or college football 24. So I thought it's coming out this summer. And I saw it was only going to be on, next generation systems, Xbox. What's the new Xbox? Xbox X Series. I don't know. I haven't had an Xbox since, I guess I had an Xbox One. But I have a PS4, and I just got a PS5 a month ago, or a couple months ago, thinking I have to have it to play college football, the college football video game. And yeah, it didn't come out this year. My dumbass went and bought a PS5 for that. But I'll have it now for next year, assuming it says that they're still on track. No problem. I guess they're still building the game out. The hard parts of it. The hard part of it is building the game and doing all that. I assume that means with lawsuits, they just can't release it. I understand the company is only going to do so much until they know they're going to be able to sell and make money off of it. But it seems to me once whatever legal disputes are there, that once they get figured out, that it just flips a switch and like, hey, we have a game to go. But please, EA Sports, I am fully on board for college football. I've been waiting. Last year I bought an Xbox 360. It's over there, and bought college football. I don't even remember what year. It wasn't the new one, maybe like 12 or 11, NCAA football 11. But I bought that just so I could play college football. I like messing around, screwing up the conferences, building custom conferences, and taking crappy teams like, excuse me, not crappy like Grambling State. That's who we'd play. I'm not saying they're a crappy football team, but putting Grambling State in the Big 12, Grambling State in the Big 12, I like putting them in their lowly football teams. Everybody knows what I mean. Let's not get PC here. Teams, not to offend any teams, but taking lower teams, putting them in who don't have good football programs and making them, winning the national championship. Doing that with Florida Atlantic, I did it with Stanford one year. Although Stanford's a Power 5. Well, not anymore, I guess, with the Pac-12 shambles going on. But yeah, come on. Make sure you bring that out. I know a lot of people are for it. I would assume the money would just drive itself and you wouldn't have to go 10 years without it. But for sure, we need this game back. We need this game back so we can all play it. Guys, thanks for listening to me rambling on about stupid stuff for a while. Apparently y'all like it. I don't know. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us however you listen to your podcasts. Continue to be loyal listeners. Thanks, guys.